This is Tom Kozlik, the head of research and analytics at HilltopSecurities. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this time for today's episode of our Hilltop Talks Politics and Finance podcast series for 2021. During these Hilltop Talks discussions, we consider topics that and themes that intersect both the worlds of politics and finance at the federal, state, and local levels in the United States. We often concentrate on issues related to U.S. public finance and the municipal bond market. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about how technological change is coming to the municipal bond market. It is coming. It's ever so slowly coming, but it is coming. Many will admit that those participating in the municipal bond market have been very resistant to change over the years, if not decades. But technological change is here, and more folks in the market are beginning to embrace it. An example is in the fact that electronic trading platforms or alternative trading systems accounted for over half of all state and local debt-related trades between dealers over the last 5 years, and that's per MSRB data. So to talk about electronic trading or e-trading, which is an area where technological change intersects with sales, trading, and credit in the municipal bond market, I have James Morris from Investortools with me today. Thanks for joining us today, James. We are very happy to have you.
Thanks, Tom. I'm delighted to be here.
I'd like to briefly introduce Investortools for those of our listeners who are not very familiar. Investortools is a software company and has been a leading provider of tools for and software for institutional fixed income investors for about 35 years. Their software is used by over 250 financial institutions to manage the daily challenges unique to fixed income portfolio managers, traders, and credit analysts. James has been with Investortools for 20 years now. After graduating from Illinois Wesleyan University, he began with the firm in a client services role and then later transitioned into account management. He now serves as Senior Vice President, and he co-leads the development of their next step into the electronic trading space, which is called the Investortools Dealer Network. James, when I think of Investortools, I think of your Credit Scope platform, which I have used before, and I know there's a large part of the municipal bond industry, especially credit analysts, that also use Credit Scope. But that's mainly a credit-related tool that's included in your suite of products. Now, you have what you're referring to as your Investortools Dealer Network. What exactly is that Investortools Dealer Network?
So, thanks, Tom. In its most simple form, the dealer network is really a feature that's integrated into the Investortools suite that allows our clients to have direct trading connectivity with the dealers that they trade bonds with.
So is this an e-trading platform? Is it correct to call it an e-trading platform or an alternative trading system?
Well, I don't think it's not exactly a platform. It's interesting. It's nuanced. I said so. The feature does enable clients to e-trade, but it's more like a hub and spoke system of independent connections between client systems and dealers.
Then could you go into a little more detail about the Investortools Dealer Network?
Sure. So what we've got is it's a system of where basically direct connections allow these dealers who clients already have a relationship with to stream their market data via fixed connection, typically, to that connected client individually. And so that client with their Investortools suite, I'm going to talk about some of our products, but Perform really is where the dealer connection feature lives. And it allows those dealers to stream that market data right into Perform, where it can be ingested and integrated with all the different tools and other data that's in that client's system. So it's not really a common platform that people are logging into. I guess the beauty of it is it's each client's unique instance of the Investortools suite is able to now receive that market data, bonds that are available for them to take action on to trade, right in the system that they're already using for portfolio management, credit analysis, as you mentioned, and really trade allocation, order management. And so it really allows the clients to quickly make trading decisions and engage with the dealer if they should desire.
Right. So I've traditionally thought of Investortools, as I described earlier, as a software company that specialized in credit analysis and portfolio management tools. Why is it that the firm has moved into this dealer connection network?
Yeah, so I think to help folks understand it, they'll, I guess the simple way is to say that it was kind of a natural evolution, but you need to know a little bit about the firm's history. So way back in the 80s when we were founded, we focused initially on, and we've always been focused on fixed income, but really focused on the municipal market and muni bond fund management. So we started out focusing on portfolio management, but as the market has evolved, we have also evolved. And so we've kind of added on credit analysis with Credit Scope. And then the market has we saw a really significant growth in separate account space. And so we, like through long-term relationship with clients, really we were guided and asked to develop features to help them kind of deal with that market evolution, market change. And so we developed features to help them with separate accounts, including compliance and allocation tools, which really resolved itself into handling order management. And that has kind of extended into trade decision-making tools. And this dealer network really brings it all together. So this was kind of the natural evolution of where our clients have asked us to go over time. It was just natural to allow them to, if they had tools that they were using in the system to evaluate securities that they could be trading, the next step was to make it really easy to do that evaluation and do it quickly, as opposed to hop around to kind of all the different places that they could look for bonds.
So maybe what it is that you just described is sort of going to answer the question that I'm going to ask you as a follow-up, because I'm wondering what it is that makes this dealer network different than other trading platforms like TradeWeb or Bloomberg or Market Access. I'm wondering, if this is just going to be one more place that folks are going to look for bonds, or is there some kind of different compelling difference or advantage?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. What makes this different is that with each one of those other kind of places that a client could go to look for bonds, what happens is I guess what I've experienced is our clients have only so much screen real estate, and they know that they can go to the various ATSs and look for bonds, but if they have to keep hopping around, it just makes the whole process less efficient. And so I guess the point of your question really is like, why is this any different than just another place? And so what all of those venues supply, I think there's some really interesting things that each one of them do, and we can talk about that in a little bit. But in the context of the question, they're aggregating certain parts of the market. And so are we just providing some other partial market aggregation? And the answer is no. What we're doing that is different is we are aggregating the market. We're bringing the secondary, but we're bringing it into that same system that the clients are already using to evaluate their portfolios, to understand risk, and to make their own kind of other credit determinations, and that they're using to allocate their bonds. And so what that really means, that sounds fairly simple, but the magic of it is that by bringing that data into the system, like they are using our system to house all of their proprietary information, so their internal credit research, all the holdings that they have in each one of their products and how they break down, and they want to be able to use that data to make trade decisions, but by having to navigate to a non-integrated system, like that just makes it very complicated. It makes more hops. And so with the market today, like people are always wrestling with how do I scale my business, and they're being asked to do more with less. And so efficiency is very important. And so this is the ultimate efficiency play. It means that our clients will no longer have to navigate and platform hop to find those bonds that might fit their needs. They can use one system to determine the kinds of bonds that they have needs for. They can use that determination to really face and query the bonds that are available in the market, and then they can take action right in that same interface.
So is it possible for you to give us some examples of client data integration that's made possible by this Investortools dealer network that our listeners are going to be able to find, interesting and really relate to, especially if they're already using some of your software products like CreditScope?
Sure. So there's a few kind of different examples that I think people will relate to. And so I'll start with the simplest one, and that is like dynamically using the holdings in your portfolio to find matchers. And so you can matchers seem simple, but there's always like, when is a matcher really a matcher? And so a client may want to say, look, I want to build positions, and I want to buy more of the securities that I already hold. So that's kind of a simple workflow. And so they could upload a list of securities to a different venue. But what happens is with our system, the system already knows kind of on a live basis what their different positions are and which portfolios hold those bonds. And so what'll often happen is someone will want to know, well, do I own this bond? In order for it to be a matcher for me, I have to own it in my product or my fund, or I have to own it in my product and my fund. And there's other additional criteria, like, you know what, I want to have owned it for at least 90 days. I don't want it to be a position that we've brought in kind as we've brought in a new SMA portfolio. I also want it to have a positive outlook from my credit analysts. That level of information is all present and able to be integrated and tied into your searching in our dealer network region of the Investortools suite. And that level of detail would be very difficult to integrate with some external system.
So is the trading on the platform anonymous? How does that work?
That's a good question. So it's not. So one of the things that about the dealer network is that what it really is fundamentally is it's those direct connections with dealers. So it's all disclosed, and we are not intermediating trades over here at Investortools. What we're really doing is providing connectivity between a dealer trading desk and the client trading desk, but we're just facilitating it in a way such that that data is flowing right into the system that they're already using for the rest of their portfolio management. So I guess back to is it anonymous? It's not anonymous. It's fully disclosed, and it's the same as if they were more or less face-to-face. That's just virtual.
So you've mentioned that the system uses a hub and spoke architecture. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. And so what's unique about this is that what hub and spoke architecture really means is that at Investortools, we have created a hub, and so we work through the connections so I think I mentioned that it uses kind of fix. And so what we'll do is we will work through the nuances and the details of constructing a fixed connection between kind of our hub and the dealer, so that the dealer really only has to work with us to create and kind of translate and learn how to speak fix with us, and us to learn how to speak fix with them, if you will. But then the spoke, each one of our clients is an individual spoke. And so what we've done is we've turned on the ability or enabled the ability for our clients who have an instance of our system kind of usually deployed locally on their architecture. They can just flip a switch effectively and turn on that fixed connection to this hub. And so that what it delivers to the client is an individualized connection to the dealers that they already have relationships with. What it delivers to the dealer is many connections with many of the the perform clients, but they only really have to work through the deployment of one fixed connection.
Right. So if a client sees something through that connection that they like, but they want to negotiate. How, what happens then? How is it that this is best described? Is it kind of an inventory only, or what happens kind of after they go through the process that you've just been describing? They identify something, as I just mentioned, that they like, and they'd like to start negotiating.
Sure. So what they can do is they'll typically, a client will go through and search. They'll face kind of there's kind of three different contexts that they might use to really search for securities on the dealer network. But ultimately, when they decide they want to buy something, they can do a straight lift. They can, most of the dealers and will at this point support the ability for the client to show them a bid, and they're direct connected through Fix right to the dealer's trading desk. So when they decide on a level that they would like to show the dealer, they can change the level. They basically click a button and it sends their bid out to the dealer. The dealer sees something that's integrated into their trading system. They see that client X, person X, client X has shown them this bid, and then they can make their determination about whether they want to show a counter or whether they want to accept that. They can negotiate and ultimately culminate in an execution.
So let me step back for a second. So as you're describing that process, I'm wondering, is this designed, this dealer network connection, is this designed to compete with the electronic trading platforms and ATSs like ICE Bonds, TradeWeb, and Market Access?
Well, it's not designed to compete with them. Those platforms, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, they are phenomenal aggregators, and they represent a different segment of the e-trading market, and they each offer their own kind of unique value proposition. So I guess, in fact, they're different enough that we will be bringing that segment of the market onto the dealer network.
Okay. So I'm wondering, from a Investortools perspective, how is it that you were positioned to go down the path of creating this dealer network before it actually came out a year or so ago?
So it's interesting. The good thing is we started out back in the 80s as a firm that was serving municipal fund families, and like I said, we've grown into a kind of all fixed income type of a platform, we serve all different fixed income shops, but those relationships that we started out with and what we've had for a long time, we've had very strong relationships with the buy side in the muni market, but also with the dealers on the muni market. We have something called Perform FSD. FSD stands for Securities Dealers. We have a dealer-facing product, so we've had long-standing relationships with both the buy side and the sell side. And as we've been evolving, and actually, what was interesting was what happened was we've had such success working with the buy side and develop separate account related management features. There was this kind of natural push to go this way, but ultimately the trigger point was actually one of the dealers that we had a relationship with was out learning about how they could better serve the separate accounts market, and they said that there was a common theme. The common theme among their clients that they wanted to engage with was that they were all using Perform, and so they actually came to us and said, "Hey, like, have you thought about this?" And we said, "It's funny you should mention that. We've been exploring going down this path," and that's really what led us down the path of direct connectivity and putting our buy side clients and dealers together.
Okay, so for the clients, dealers, and folks on the buy side, are you hearing that the Investortools dealer network is, making a difference in their ability to, on the one hand, find bonds, but really what it sounds like this is really going to help also do is help them find the right, in a quicker fashion, find the right bonds?
And I think you actually hit the nail on the head. It's not that folks have had trouble necessarily, quote unquote, finding a bond in the past. I think that the feedback that we're hearing is that this has helped folks find the right bond. Now, it's been an interesting secondary market over the past 9 months. And so I think finding the right bond, there's an attribute of structure to that, but there's also kind of a value or a price side to that equation. And so we've certainly been hearing that on the structural side of things, we are helping people to identify, well, what is the right bond? And this has really, the dealer network has really helped people find those bonds that are available that meet those kind of right bond criteria. And it's helped people to do that faster. It's certainly over, let's say in August and September, we are hearing lots of stories about people being able to take advantage of the little bit of additional value that was present in the odd lot market. And so I think to the extent that that value represents the right bond, we've been hearing that as part of the story as well. So it has made a difference. I don't think anyone is abandoning every other avenue for finding bonds, but I certainly am receiving feedback that it's been a tremendous value add for our clients, and that their intention is to continue using it, and it will probably take on and represent more of their trading as they get comfortable with it. You mentioned one of the things that I've been living recently is change is difficult. Change is difficult. The new technology is difficult, and it just takes time. And changing our workflows are difficult. So, but we're seeing it happen. It's an exciting time.
Let me ask you one more thing, and the item that I'd like to leave folks with is, what is the next iteration of the Investortools dealer network? What's next? What is there something that is in development that you've been talking to people about that's going to be out? 2021 is almost over. We're almost into 2022. What is next where the Investortools dealer network is concerned?
Yeah, I think there's an expansion of connectivity. So I think maybe one way to think about that is a much greater depth and breadth to the number of items that will be present in the dealer network, the number of dealers who are participating. That's certainly going to be kind of a major point of development over the next year. And I would say that the other focus is going to be on efficiency. And when I say efficiency, it's really trading efficiency. How do we help clients engage with, it's not just finding that right bond, but when you find many of the right bond, how do we help them quickly engage with those dealers? So I think those are really two of the foci over the next year. It's going to be better, more streamlined protocols and tools to help quickly engage with many securities, and adding more securities to the integration.
I'm looking forward to seeing that in action. James, thanks very much for joining us today and talking through these things with us. I really enjoyed our discussion.
Oh, thanks, Tom. It was great. I really appreciate being invited. I don't get to do this type of thing often, but I love it. So thank you very much.
Well, after you go through some of those future iterations that you just talked about, we'll have you back and we'll get another status update, because it sounds as though this is a work in progress. So thank you. For those interested, you can see all of the recent HilltopSecurities economic and municipal commentary and listen to our podcasts by going to HilltopSecurities.com/commentary. And you can follow me on Twitter and LinkedIn. Thanks again, everyone. Thanks to James. We look forward to bringing you more color in the future related to topics that intersect the world of politics, finance, and public finance. This has been Hilltop Talks, and I am Tom Kozlik from Hilltop Securities. Thanks for listening to Hilltop Talks, a Hilltop Securities podcast where we navigate the impact of politics and finance on the financial markets. For those interested, you can view our Hilltop Securities economic and municipal commentary by visiting hilltopsecurities.com/municipal-commentary and hilltopsecurities.com/economic-commentary. You can also follow me on Twitter and LinkedIn. Thanks again, everyone, for subscribing, tuning in, and participating. We look forward to bringing you more color in the future on topics that intersect both the world of politics and finance. This has been Tom Kozlik at Hilltop Securities. This communication is intended for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute legal or investment advice, nor is it an offer or a solicitation of an offer to buy or sell any investment or other specific product or service. Financial transactions may be dependent upon many factors such as, but not limited to, interest rates, tax rates, supply, and change in laws, rules, and regulations, as well as changes in credit quality and rating agency considerations. The effect of such changes in such assumptions may be material and could affect the projected results. Any outcome or result Hilltop Securities or any of its employees may have achieved on behalf of our clients in previous matters does not necessarily indicate similar results can be obtained in the future for current or potential clients. Hilltop Securities makes no claim the use of this communication will assure a successful outcome. For additional information, comments, or questions, please contact Hilltop Securities, Inc. Hilltop Securities is a wholly owned subsidiary of Hilltop Holdings, New York Stock Exchange, ticker symbol HTH. Hilltop Securities is located at 717 North Harwood Street, Dallas, Texas, 75201. Phone number 833-4-HILLTOP, HILLTOP, and is a member of the New York Stock Exchange, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, and the Securities Investor Protection Corporation.